Are you bothered by the photographs that you take? Maybe you've gone out, you've bought a really expensive DSLR, or you have a really good cell phone, but they're just not making the photographs that you expected from them. Today I'm here to help you learn how to get good photographs with any kind of camera. There's some really basic things that you can do so that you can elevate your photography for the rest of your life, and you will be no less than good. I'm Janine Ball. This is Let's Learn Photo. Thank you for coming to my channel today. I appreciate it. Let's get started. The very first thing you want to do is make sure that you have the camera set. That means, number one, proper exposure. You need to have enough light. There should be enough light so that your highlights, the bright parts of your shot, and the dark parts, the shadows, both have detail. If you have detail in the shadows and the highlights, you have a good exposure. Next thing you want to do is make sure that you have a sharp photograph. This means that you're going to focus so that your subject is nice and sharp. Camera shake occurs when the camera actually moves. A lot of people confuse this with having a bad focus when actually they're getting camera shake. You have to hold that camera steady. So make sure you're giving it a stable base for a DSLR, or on a cell phone, you're giving it a nice stable base as well. And with camera shake, you also want to make sure you're holding that camera steady and squeezing the shutter. Don't punch. If you punch the shutter, you're going to get camera shake as well. And a lot of people don't realize they're doing this. The next pieces are all aesthetics. This is the vision that you bring to your photographs. So the very first thing is a compelling center of interest. I think this is the hardest piece in photography, to get a photograph of a subject that people want to look at. And just because it's a compelling center of interest doesn't necessarily mean it's a pretty picture. It can be scary, it can be fun, it can be sweet, it can be beautiful, it can be something that's documenting something that was tragic, but it draws you into the subject. So a compelling center of interest is something that pulls you in. When you have that center of interest, you want to make sure that you are not putting it dead center. Most people put their subject right in the middle of the photograph, and that's not where you want to go. You want to use the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds says that your subject should be vertically and horizontally dissected in the frame, and you're going to put your center of interest on any one of those 4 points. While we're talking about the frame, you want to make sure that your subject is filling the frame. Most people have a little tiny subject, and instead it should dominate the photograph. It should be a large part of the photograph. So get closer or zoom in so that you can make sure that subject is very, very large in the photograph and not a little tiny speck. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you have a good background. A good background complements the subject. It is enhancing the subject. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's pretty. It just means that it is going with the subject. If you practice these things for the rest of your life, you'll be no less than good. You have a good technical side. You have that camera all set up properly. You have good aesthetics. And that is going to give you a good photograph with any kind of camera. I'd like to give you an assignment right now. Go to your camera roll and look at your last photographs and just see if you have followed these principles. If you have, then you're probably already a pretty good photographer. If you haven't, go out and take at least 10 photographs, and with every single photograph, make sure you do these things. And if you practice this for the rest of your life, you will be a good photographer. There's plenty of ways to elevate your photography even further, but we'll talk about those in additional videos. The next one coming up will be composition, so make sure you watch that. It is critical to becoming a good photographer. I've really appreciated you being here today. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Janine Ball. This is Let's Learn Photo. If you enjoyed my channel, please like and subscribe below. That way you can get updates for new videos that are coming out. I want to help you on your photographic journey to become an excellent photographer. Thank you so much for joining me today.